Hello, my name is Mel Reed. I want to talk to you today about building a better business. Many of us are on the cusp of greatness and we haven't realized that it just takes a little bit, a slight edge, to push you over the edge into greatness. So we're going to give you some basic things today. We're also going to talk about why it's important to better your best. You may have had a great year last year. You may be anticipating a great year this year, but the goal is always to better whatever best you have. That way it really ends up that you're competing against yourself. You may say, well, my competition is XYZ company or ABC company, where that's not the case. The case is you're competing against yourself and you're the biggest competition you'll ever face. So what we want to do is make sure that you are ready to better your best. Let's get started. This slide here, I just wanted to let you know that I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've got over 30 years sales experience with management and training, Motorola, ERA, Caldwell Bankers, Sotheby's, the Realogy companies. I'm a bold business coach, a Rialto real estate coach, a certified One Thing instructor, Think and Grow Rich certified coach, real estate agent, broker, instructor. I created LEAD, which is a 4-week class, and the in-depth study of business development and the leadership in NFL, Never Fail Leadership. So just kind of an overview of me. So let's go ahead and get started. Today our sponsors are ourselves, Optimus Training and Development, and TOP, Training to Optimize Performance. It's a subscription-based program we do on a monthly basis where we supply content, coaching opportunities, and the basis to better your business. So that's what we do. So let's talk about this, bettering your business on a day-to-day basis. Focus for today or whenever. Here's what I'd really like you to get out of this content. In business, if you don't keep a fresh supply of prospects, if you don't lead generate or spend a lot of money in advertising, where are you getting your customers? Where's your customers and clients coming from? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about lead generation, sales, follow-up, how to manage a database, and we'll also discuss 10 low-cost or no-cost ways that you can generate additional business so that you have every opportunity to better your best. Fair enough? All right. So really, if you work hard to gain market share and you're out there every day to increase your revenues, you have the ability to track and report your sales to management, Wall Street board of directors, whoever you need to report to. Really what we're talking about is you know your numbers. You have a good handle on your business from day to day. If somebody were to ask you, there's X number of days left in this year, what do you need to do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-by-month to accomplish the budget, the goal, the assigned quota, whatever that might be for you. So I think it all starts, you can have great intentions, but until somebody sells something, it really doesn't work. So we're going to talk a lot about sales. I want to go into a couple of things I teach in some other classes, including The One Thing. The One Thing was written by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller, and in it they really examine Pareto's principle. This principle is if you are in business, chances are, and this is proved out year after year after year since 1906 when he came up with it, if you are producing results, chances are it's coming from 20% of some activity that you're doing. In other words, 20% effort produces 80% of your results. And if that's the case, why don't we identify what the most valuable effort, the one thing that you put towards your business that produces that type of result, and focus on that. A lot of people in business, what happens is they go into expecting to produce great things, and they get so far into the weeds that they lose focus on what's making them successful. So I'm going to challenge you as we go through this, be thinking, how do I apply this? Where are my customers coming from? How can I produce more of those and produce a greater return on my investment? Fair enough? All right, because this chart here talks about the 80-20 principle. It says that the minority of your effort leads to the majority of your results. And I think if you really are honest, you start looking at that, the Pareto principle, which is also a law, the more you focus, the better return. Sometimes you focus, excuse me, I need another cup of coffee. Sometimes you focus very small to go big, but it is the focus. So here's my question to you, and if you have a sheet of paper, which I hope you do, or one of our study guides off the website, optimustraining.com, write this down. Currently, what is my 20% that produce 80% of the result? Name your top three things that you're doing in business right now that produces 80% of the revenue on a week-to-week, month-to-month, annual basis. I'll give you just a minute to write that down. Oh, somebody's saying, well, what do you mean currently? What am I doing to produce business? Well, if you say sales, that's great because nothing happens unless something is sold. However, how are you selling? Where are your customers coming from? Chances are it's prospecting, advertising, lead generation, networking. We're going to talk about all of those. So name the top three. Good. Now that you have written those down, if you didn't get a chance to finish it, because this is something that most people don't think about on a daily basis in their business, even though we should. But I want you to really identify the three things. If you didn't get a chance to finish that, it's okay. We're going to go back and let you do that on your own time. We have to keep this moving, okay? All right. So challenge the way you look at things, and the things you look at will be changed. Change the way you look at things. So I want to challenge you to look at the way that you get organized for an average sales day. No, I'm sorry. You don't want an average sales day. What you want is a very great, not average, great sales day, correct? So how many of you do to-do lists? I know for me, I would create a to-do list for just about any day and everything, even on the weekends. If I didn't have a list, I didn't feel like I was organized. So what we're going to do is we're going to challenge that thinking. I want you to make a list, but not a to-do list, okay? Because I'll tell you what happens with a to-do list. It's like a planner, and I have it in here, and I've written it in, and I go through, and I find that, and it's like, here's what I need to do today, and I go down the list, and it's like, okay, I did it, I checked it off, and then all of a sudden, I would do something that wasn't on the list. So what'd I do? Well, of course, I wrote it on the list real quick, and then I checked it off, right? So it's a matter of just wanting to put a check mark. If that's all we're after, you can take a piece of paper and make check marks all day long on it. That's not going to accomplish anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, I know I need to do certain things. But what we really want to create is a list for success. So we're going to call it our success list instead of our to-do list, okay? It looks something like this. You would have the list of everything that you need to do, right? You could do over here. You could do all of these things, but there's probably 4 or 5 that you should do. And then there's one priority in that list. This is narrowing the focus for great success. So my to-do list becomes my should do, which is my success list. And let me just encourage you, whenever I do this training live, I'll ask questions like, well, how many of you normally have a hard thing to communicate to your clients? Let's say it's a delayed shipment or an error on your team's part. And it's on there, it's on your list, you need to call that person. Do the hardest thing first. Look at your list. Do the hardest thing first. Once you do that, and it was the hardest thing, everything else will be easier the rest of the day. Does that make sense? So you want to make your success list, and it's usually not as long as a to-do list because it's mission critical things that you've got to do to be successful. Let me just encourage you, and I did this for years. Whenever I would make a to-do list, I would take and create the list. Always plan tomorrow tonight. Always plan tomorrow tonight. A couple of things happen there. You don't have to wake up and think, well, I wonder what I'm doing today. You already know. You've got your success list in place. Things that you should do. And then you've got your priority on there, right? And then the second thing that happens, as I created that list the night before, as I slept, my subconscious mind went to work on that list. While you're sleeping, your mind is still active, right? You get better rest. Sometimes that instead of wondering what you're going to do, you know what you're going to do. You wrote it down, all the things you could do, and then the things you should do, and you know what priority you're going to start the day with. Your mind gets to work, and a lot of times when you wake up, you feel more rested and more at peace, and you have answers to those things. Try it. I know some of you are skeptical. I understand. Well, I was, until I really learned the research and science behind it, which really it made sense that if I were to write it down and think about that and then do my what I call my shutdown so I can go to sleep, in other words, turning off my mind, turning off my hands and feet, turning on, then I'll doze off. My subconscious mind doesn't sleep. It goes to work on those things. I wake up, I feel much better. So try it. What have you got to lose? Serious? Come on. All right, so your to-do list now becomes your should-do, which becomes your priority, and you're doing that priority when you first wake up, right? Another thing that you can find at optimustraining.com in the resource section is our 66-day challenge. This also comes from The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I love this tool. What's the one thing I can do that such by doing it makes everything else easier or unnecessary? But there is a tool in there called the 66-day challenge. Now I'm going to ask the focusing question, what's the one thing I can do? And then what we do with this 66-day challenge, we break it down. And I want you to really take a look at this, print it off, have it there in front of you. If you don't have it right now, pause this, go to optimustraining.com, pull up the resource section, and print off a copy of the 66-day challenge. Does that make sense? Yeah, do that, and then we can follow along, because the 66-day challenge, I used to train that it takes 21 days to form a new habit. I was lying to people. That's what I was told, right? So when we say it takes 66 days to form a new habit, that's the average. Some people it takes longer, some shorter, but most people aren't going to form a habit in 21 days. So what we do is a 66-day challenge. In other words, I am going to, and if you look at the form, there's really the 7 areas, the pillars, if you will, of life. Spiritual, physical, financial, personal, relationships, job. And I want to change a habit in any of those areas. I'm going to use a 66-day challenge. The habit I'm working on is, let's say it's, I'll give you an example. I had put on a few extra pounds. So really, my habit was to eat better. And then the other thing I needed, and you cannot outwork a bad diet. You just can't. You cannot outwork a bad diet. So we got to get in the habit of eating better things. The second thing I needed to do is get back on my treadmill. So my exercise became very important. So here's the thing. Whatever you need to work on, a habit you want to change, a new habit you want to develop, if you can challenge yourself to do a 66-day challenge, then you have the ample opportunity to really put that in effect. So you write it out. My habit is 22 minutes on the treadmill every morning. Now, on your sheet, if you'll look, it says the start date. Right up here. The start date. So I'm going to start, and then I'm going to track every day. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the 66-day challenge one day at a time. That one thing for that time frame, time block it out, and I'm doing that every day. So let's say it's Monday and I start on Monday. I put an X, a red X on block 1, day 1, and I follow that through. Now, if you were to miss 3 or 4 days, you might need to start another 66-day challenge. Or if you miss 1 or 2 days, take those days, add it to the end, and keep working on the habit that you're forming. So the 66-day challenge has a lot of impact on most people. I've seen sales organizations change the way they do business by having their teams do a 66-day challenge. Fair enough? In the book, we also talk about the 4 thieves of productivity. We talk about a lot, but I want you to understand from a sales perspective, impact sales was what we're talking about, and building a better business. Here are the 4 thieves, and I'm not going to talk in depth about these, but I want you to understand Your inability to say no. Sometimes salespeople want to be so yes, 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 but you have to say no to what's less important, because all things don't matter equally. All things do not matter equally. You need to say no to some things. You might not be able to go out at 3:30 in the afternoon with your buddy because you need to make 2 or 3 more sales calls. The ability to say no, just practice that. No. The other thief is the fear of chaos, poor health habits, and your environment does not support your goals. Let's talk a little bit about that. Inability to say no. One yes has to be really defended over time with 1,000 no's. If you say yes to something, you said yes, that meant yes. It didn't mean maybe, because that's non-committal. More things are lost by indecision than wrong decision. Make a decision to be successful, to commit to the process, and then the ability to say no. Practice that. Another thing we talked about there was poor health habits. And I want to give you just really 5 things that masters of productivity have mastered. This is the important things. Poor health habits. Meditate and spray. Do not spray. I do that enough. Meditate and pray for spiritual energy. Meditate and pray for spiritual energy. You're amazed. You know, if you go to the chiropractor, which I've done for years, you go in and they have this triangle chart, and it's really a triangle of you, and it's physical, mental, and spiritual. You know, it forms that triangle that make us up. So let's talk a little bit about doing the spiritual thing. If that means reading good material in the morning, that means prayer, meditation, do what's right. And then eat right, exercise, get some sleep. Sometimes we don't get enough sleep to be effective during the day. You got to have your sleep. For some people that's 8 hours, some people it's 6, some people it's 9. You know what's optimal for you. If you plan it correctly, you can get your required sleep every day, or most every day, and then you can be very, very productive. Hug and kiss and laugh with the loved ones. That, to me, it's really speaks to the emotional energy part. If we can love and kiss and hug and love those people and really, laugh with the people that we love, more often than not, we're really feeding our emotional side. And then set goals, plan, and calendar for mental energy. When you set goals, and we're going to talk a little bit about goal setting, when you set goals and you have that in place and you share those goals, you feel better about your mental energy. You just do. And then time block for your business energy. If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist. But so many of us don't even have a schedule, we don't know. I've heard salespeople say this, well, I'll just take it as it comes. Yeah, had a good year, I'll just take it as it comes. I know more business is coming my way. Well, guess what? It may be coming your way, but it may not if you don't put forth the effort. So those are, poor health habits. You can address those. I do not follow my passion. I bring it with me. I love that phrase. I bring it with me. So what does that mean? That means I've got to be passionate and not just out there always looking for it, right? Let's talk this next section. We're going to talk about prospecting, building your database, feeding your database, marketing to your database, and lead with revenue. So many times we don't like the B word, the budget word, and it's something that we all need in business so that we know that we're being productive. Would you agree? Yeah. So let's talk about lead generation. I love this. When I overhear someone talking about the product I sell, this is my reaction, right? So prospecting is the lifeblood of your business. It's the lifeblood of your business. So if you are lead generating, it will feed a healthy business and it'll also resurrect a dying one. You wonder what's wrong? It's probably because you don't have enough customers to sell to. You don't have enough people in your database. You don't have clients that will come back and do business with you time and time again. So your prospecting is your lifeblood of your business. And when we talk about lead generation, well, what does that mean? I don't even know how to do it. Some people say, well, use the telephone, do networking, door knocking, in person, paying out the nose as far as advertising, or all of it. So what's best for your business? Identify where your business is coming from. Identify where your business is coming from month by month, year by year, and do more of that. It's as simple as that. But if you don't even know, and you've never tracked that, and you've never went back and looked at the percentages, your return on investment is critical in business. We're in business to fund the perfect life. What your perfect life and my perfect life may be totally different, but we have the motivation. Are we in business just to make money? Well, no. We're in business to make money because of what money can do. Think of it that way. We need to understand that we're out to make a buck because that's the world's economy runs on that. But it's really what's important to us. What's important to us and our families, what's important to us every moment of every day. That's why we're out there making the big bucks. Or not. And I want you to live the perfect life. So, lead generation. Let's talk about networking. Networking, if you don't belong to clubs, organization, you don't get involved with school or church or any of those things, what networking opportunities do you have? Well, Mel, I don't like to network. I'm really, to be honest with you, I don't even like people. Then I question why you're in the sales business. But networking is a huge way to lead generate when you don't have a huge budget. Costs very little to be a part of these organizations. Well, Mel, I don't want to spend my time doing that. You know, when my day's done, I'm not taking an evening and going down to my kid's school and network with all those people that actually are potential customers to buy my product. Why would I do that? Well, I don't know. Why would you? Why wouldn't you? Door knocking. You know, some people are door to door, or they sell I'll give you an example in real estate. If you knock on a door and you talk with someone and you say, you know, I've sold several houses in this neighborhood. What I'd like to do you know anyone in the neighborhood that's ready to sell? What about you? Have you thought about selling? I mean, the market's good. Interest rates are still low. Oh, you have? Well, maybe I can answer some of your questions. Boom. Just by knocking on a door. So if you are in real estate, look at the MLS, look at your database, where's the business coming from, and go knock on some doors. Amazing. Now, I use Facebook. Okay. Yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, pictures of yourself. I don't know how all that works, but I do know this. Nothing beats face-to-face. It's just maybe you use those tools to get you in front of people, but you got to get in front of people. In person at the grocery store, the auto repair shops, the car wash, whatever it is, if people get within your sphere, if they get in your bubble, which is about 3 feet, right? 3 feet. Well, you want them to understand what you do for a living. You don't want them to guess, oh, that's a nice guy. I wonder what they do. They should know because we're in the people business. If you're chasing a commission in sales versus building relationships, guess what? You'll never have enough commission. If you're building relationships, those people will come and find you. Make sense? That's what you want. That's what you want for successful business. Your circle of influence, past clients, people that you have done business with, are usually the most effective and least expensive way to get new customers. So what we want to do is we want to network, door knock, in person, wherever we're at, work with our center of influence. So where do I get my leads? Where do I get my leads? What do I do with them? How do I feed my database? Those are some of the questions that you've got to ask. How do I market to my database? What's considered success? Well, success is considered getting what you want. Getting what you want. Now, you can get results, but until you get what you want, is it really success? Think of that. What's success to you? What's success to you? I used to use the definition of I'm successful when I help someone get what they want and I get what I want. chances are you help people get what they want, you'll have what you want. But you got to want something. You can get all kinds of results, but if it's just something you didn't want, is that successful? Probably not. So, excuse me, we're going to talk a little bit about 5-step opening on the phone. Many of you use a phone to, create your income. You normally will carry one of these, right? And you're on the phone a lot during the day. Oh, there's some notifications. A lot. Prospecting. You're on the phone, so you need a distinct opening. In my opinion, don't sound like every other person in your profession, in your industry, in your business, in your neighborhood. Here's some keys. Don't sound like everyone else. Hey, how are you? Instead of the low-key approach, mellow, not polished, still a script. But I have taught conversational selling for years. And to me, you can use scripts, but it better sound like you're still having just a conversation with that person. That's the difference. That's the difference. So make it sound different instead of, may I please speak to the owner of the house? May I please speak to the owner of the automobile? You don't want to do that. Hey, how are you? Great. You know, the reason I was calling today is I just wanted to touch base with you. I know that you bought that new Tundra really 2 years ago. How many miles do you have on that thing? Really? Do you think it's ready? I'll tell you what, the trade-in right now, that truck is holding its value. Maybe we need to talk and get you into a new one. Or, did I catch you at a good time? Don't just launch in. Did I catch you at a good time? Wonderful. Ask permission. The prospect will actually think about it. Is this a good time? Did he catch me at a good time? I guess it's a good time. So you just need to ask. Get permission. Give a brief explanation, one short sentence, instead of just throwing out stuff. I'm helping people meet their goals, to buy, sell, invest in real estate. Was wondering if you might be able to help me for a minute. Here's what happens with that statement. People want to help people. And if you just ease into it and have a conversation, could you help me out here just for a minute? Most people will say, sure, what do you need? And then you can launch into, speak intelligently about your products and services. The other thing is common challenges I see. You really need to identify that it is about them, not about you. I train salespeople and I say, well, you don't want to just show up and throw up, right? You just want to show up, have answers to their questions, ask good questions, and then see if you can take advantage of the current situation. It's important to have all the facts. When you get in front of people, you need to make sure that you're ready. That's why practice, script partners to practice your techniques and your smooth delivery. That will serve you very, very well. So, word to the wise, practice. And then engage. Get them talking. Do any of the challenges that I mentioned, are you facing any of those? Do you know people that are in that same situation? Because I'm in the business of helping people. My job is to make sure I'm there to help as many people as possible on a day-to-day basis. So if you are facing that challenge, if you know someone, I would sure love to help them. Then we get into the list. This list, probably can't see it real well, but you should have a copy. You can also get this 100. It's from Guerrilla Marketing. It's a 100 low-cost or no-cost ideas of marketing, guerrilla marketing. And I revised it a little bit and made it more current, some of the tools and techniques that we use as far as technology, so that you will have at least 100 ideas. And then what we do is we go through and we look at our list, and we want to come up with the 10 low-cost, no-cost marketing ideas out of 100. So we're using 10% of that list to start with. Make a list of 10. When you make that list, what I would like you to do is, if you're doing this with other people, pair up, and then really out of that 10, come up with your top 5. Your top 5 low-cost, no-cost ideas to optimize your marketing effort. Now, once you do that, you have your top 10, your top 5, then you come up with 3 of those things to implement. Implement in the next 20 days, implement. And when you start today, You could actually put that on your 66-day challenge. But you have 3 things that you're going to implement. And then out of those 3, you pick the number one thing. That's your one thing. That's your top idea to go with. And then you implement it as soon as possible. You track the result. If it produces result, focus on it. Improve it. If it doesn't, move to the second thing on your list. You see what this is doing? It's allowing us to make sure that we're focused on what we feel will be the most important things in our business. Okay? So I'm going to ask you a question. What's your brand? What's your brand? Well, your brand is you. You might work for the biggest Fortune 500 company on planet Earth, and they have a brand, and you represent that brand. You also represent you. So what's your brand? Think about that. And then when you brand yourself, maybe you have the ability to say, we offer the finest products at the lowest cost, or we offer great customer service. Who's not saying that? Have something to back it up. But then how do you represent, how do you support your brand? You know, if you're working for a company and you're bad-mouthing the company out in the marketplace, please go find somebody that you can represent and feel good about it. If you're not doing what you feel good about doing, don't do it. I tell people all the time, if you don't like what you're doing, go find something else. Life is too short not to enjoy what we do. Okay? And then the other thing I want to ask you this question. What are your best practices that create awareness of your brand? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? How do you create best practice of representing your brand? Because many of us have companies that they have a brand, but if it's not us representing it well, chances are it's not going to be that great. So that's a quick 30-minute overview of building a better business, getting into some things. In one of the future courses we'll teach, you're going to find out about the one thing a lot more in depth. You'll find out about some of the greatest challenges in business and how to meet those. You'll find out about how objection handling. When anyone in sales, or usually anybody in business, will face objections. I've got a 5-step process that works every time, anytime, and every time with everyone that will get you to the next level and help you improve, and so that you can better your best. Do me a favor, go to optimustraining.com, go to the resource section, print out the material we talked about today that will help you get started. The other thing is go ahead and look in the resource section, and whether we're in your area, we were in Denver, we were in Southern Colorado, we were in South Dakota, Northwest Arkansas, California, and Texas just in the last few weeks. So here's the thing. We may be coming to an area close to you. It's usually on there, upcoming classes and some of the events that we're hosting. The other thing we're doing is pulling together a mastermind, and we want people to participate in that. So look online, look at the top program. The top program will allow you to, on a subscription base, there's no substitute for live training. You can do a lot online, and we have those online like this. But when you have the ability to get one-on-one coaching, group coaching, impact coaching, or breakthrough coaching, or mastery coaching, one of the things that happens with that is you have the ability now to continue to work on your business. So look at the coaching section. There'll be some information there. As always, you have any concern, drop us a line, send us an email, let us respond to you one-on-one. And in the meantime, remember, if it is to be, it's up to me. Better your best. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this.